Across South Africa, justice is slipping through the cracks. Cases, hundreds and thousands of them, are being closed not because they are solved, but because of something far more troubling: a lack of evidence. Without tangible evidence, whether forensic, digital, or testimonial, police officers often have little choice but to label a case as cold, leaving victims without justice and offenders free to continue their activities. Dumelang, and welcome to the Crime Scene SA channel. Today, we are diving into one of South Africa's most pressing crises: the growing number of criminal cases closed by the police due to insufficient evidence. Is this a sign of a strained justice system, overwhelmed and under-resourced? Or is there something more troubling happening behind the scenes? Recent statistics released by the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, shows a shocking trend. South African police have been closing more and more cases, citing lack of evidence. From the 1st of April 2023 to the 31st of December 2023, over 500,000 cases were closed. Many of these are serious crimes ranging from residential burglary to rape. In some instances, cases are closed before reaching the court system, an alarming statistic that signals systematic inefficiencies. A few weeks ago, the Democratic Alliance requested the Minister of Police to furnish them with information after former Police Minister Gallo revealed in a parliamentary reply to a question posed by the party that over 5.4 million dockets were closed since the 2018-2019 financial year due to insufficient evidence or leads. Speaking to Newsroom Africa, DA's deputy spokesperson for police, Lisa Shakaling, said the excessive numbers are not surprising, adding that most of these cases were closed without proper investigation.
Well, most of them have been closed without proper investigation. At this stage, South Africa only has 17,000 proper detectives that are trained. And of these 17,000 detectives, they have roughly between 300 and 400 cases sitting on their desks at this time. It is physically impossible for any detective to be able to properly investigate these cases. And when some of the cases are at the bottom of the pile and they require small investigations, a follow-up with somebody that laid the complaint or with a telephone number or going to see somebody, they very often just get left behind because the caseload on a daily basis just grows and the detectives don't have chance to go back. And more often than not, these cases are then just closed without proper investigation.
Now let's analyze the data. From 2018-2019 until the 31st of December 2023, the province of Gauteng consistently recorded the highest number of closed cases, followed by the Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. These three provinces have consistently held the top three positions in that order, without exception. According to Stats SA, about 56% of the country's population live in these provinces. Let us now examine the numbers more closely, focusing on these three provinces. We start in Gauteng. The economic heartland of South Africa is the smallest province yet the most populous. According to Census 2022, Gauteng has 15 million people. The top three crimes with the highest number of closed cases from 2018-2019 financial year to the 31st of December 2023 are residential burglary, with 193,860 cases, followed by robbery aggravation with 120,264 cases, and on the third spot, business burglary at 62,466 cases. We move to KwaZulu-Natal. The second most populous province in South Africa has been making headlines in recent weeks regarding the high number of suspects that have been killed in shootouts with the police. Like Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal is also leading with residential burglary at 142,387 closed cases, followed by business burglary at 47,364, and lastly, robbery aggravation at 37,419 closed cases. We conclude with the Western Cape, which is the third largest province in terms of population size. The province is a bloodbath. Between October and December 2023, 1,301 people were murdered, with 78% of these murders occurring in the city of Cape Town. 132,467 residential burglary cases were closed, 49,803 for robbery aggravation, and 35,918 for business burglary. Having identified the types of crimes with the highest number of closed cases, it is logical that these three provinces will lead in categories of crimes with the most closed cases nationwide. KwaZulu-Natal has the highest closed cases in the categories of murder, with 34,480 in the whole of South Africa. They are also leading in residential robbery at 21,525. The province of Gauteng registered the highest closed cases in the country in the following categories: attempted murder, 12,562, assault GBH, 57,286, rape, 17,500, sexual assault, 2,058, car hijacking, 58,248, kidnapping, 4,151, robbery aggravation, 120,264, residential burglary, 193,860, and non-racial burglary at 62,466. The high closed cases in Gauteng are driven by the high rates of crime in the province, which can be attributed to several interrelated factors such as population density, economic disparities, migration and influx of people from other regions and countries, policing challenges and social issues. These factors create a complex environment where crime is more likely to thrive. So why the high numbers of closed cases? One of the key reasons for this is the lack of resources. Police stations are often overburdened with cases. A high volumes of crimes combined with limited staffing and resources can lead to cases being closed prematurely. Detectives may lack the time and capacity to thoroughly investigate each case, which affects their ability to gather and process critical evidence. Last year, the National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola shared that SAPS has seen a drop in detectives, going from 26,000 in the 2016-2017 financial year to 17,600 in 2023. Simply put, police are understaffed, underfunded, and in many cases, poorly trained. The DNA backlog in South Africa is really slowing down the criminal justice system. It's delaying cases and making it harder to prosecute criminals effectively. When evidence is not processed in time, this can mean that suspects are stuck in detention for longer, and there is a lower chance of getting successful convictions. The consequences of these closed cases are severe. Not only do victims and their families face a lifetime without justice, but criminals are left on the streets, free to commit more crimes. For the victims of crime, especially violent crimes, the closure of a case due to lack of evidence can be devastating. Families seeking justice for murdered or missing loved ones are left in limbo with no closure or resolution in sight. Victims of property crimes, fraud, or assaults may be forced to live with the frustration that their assailants will never face consequences. These unresolved cases also erode trust in law enforcement agencies. Communities affected by high crime rates may perceive the police as ineffective or indifferent, depending on the divide between citizens and the justice system. When justice remains out of reach, social cohesion suffers and people may become less likely to report crimes or cooperate with law enforcement in the future. So what's the solution? Experts argue that without a serious investment in the justice system, this problem will only get worse. Increasing funding for forensic labs, better training for police officers, and reform in case handling procedures are urgently needed. Speaking to 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, the head of Justice and Violence Prevention, as the Institute for Security Studies, Gareth Newham, said the current police management requires reform.
Well, I wouldn't go to appointing somebody from the private sector to run the police necessarily. I would look at the systems that are in place and the structure that are in place. For example, the South African Police Service is managed at its highest level by a board of commissioners. It's about 27 lieutenant generals. You have then 100, 150, 160 other generals and over 600 brigadiers below those people. So we need to look at that structure and that system. Is there a very clear chain of commands? Can we really make sure that the National Commissioner down to the constables on the ground know exactly what they're doing and be held effectively accountable and being properly resourced and trained to do what they're doing? So we need to get really into the detail of that so that we can then say, right, National Commissioner or Board of Commissioners, you're not doing your jobs properly. We do know, for example, that over the last decade or more, the murder detection rate, for example, the ability for the police to solve murders has dropped by 61%. So in 2012, they could solve 31% of the murders. Last year, they could only solve 12.4% of the murders. What is wrong with the current management system that it doesn't pick that up 11 years ago and come up with an effective policy to stop that and improve the detection rate for the following decade? And we can go on about a range of other things, like the deterioration of the disciplinary system, inability to strengthen anti-corruption measures. So what is it about this current structure and system that simply doesn't pick up problems quickly enough and then effectively address them? And I think that's where we need to see a greater expertise brought into the system.
Last month, Police Minister tabled the budget vote of 113,597 billion rand for the 2024-2025 financial year. He revealed that 10,000 police trainees will be enlisted to bolster the police force. Justice delayed is justice denied. And in South Africa, far too many cases are being delayed or worse, forgotten. But hopefully the public can put pressure so that the system can be reformed. The question remains though, will the government and law enforcement rise to the challenge, or will more cases simply disappear? If you want to help bring attention to this issue, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Let's raise awareness together and push for a criminal justice system that works for everyone.